as you can imagine, there's lots of recurring themes coming through in questions from constituents. We've had hundreds since Sunday, understandably so, trying to figure out exactly what you can and can't do. I've included a link with this post to the government FAQs list, which answers a lot of those questions. There's a few regular ones coming up locally that I thought I would cover in this short video as well. The first is effectively, can I go back to work? The short answer in terms of businesses reopening is if your business, if the place where you work was forced to close by the list of government closures, then they should still be shut. If your business chose to close for financial reasons or from guidance from other associations or within the sector, then they can reopen. You should look to introduce as much hygiene changes and improvements and as many social distancing measures as you can. It's not necessarily a totally strict requirement that you must be 2 meters away from people at all times in the workplace. There might be other measures that you can take to try and mitigate those risks. Ultimately, it will be up to businesses whether they want to reopen or not, but if you weren't forced to close by the government list, which is mainly hospitality, retail and leisure, then you can choose to reopen. As a member of staff, you do have the right to say, look, no, I won't be safe at work, I'm not happy. But all employers will have a very strict set of guidelines to show and boxes to tick and show that they are making things safe in the workplace. Some examples that have come up have been hairdressers. Can I open my hairdressers? No, unfortunately you can't yet because they were in the list originally that were forced to close. Driving instructors, another regular one that I've been asked about. Unfortunately, no, again, as yet. But for both of those sectors, over the coming weeks, as we get used to the new advice, and from the 1st of June, where things might open up slightly more, those overarching kind of bodies and associations that look after hairdressers or driving instructors will take a view on the advice, will come forward with their recommendations. So keep an eye out for those kind of things. And obviously from the 1st of June, again, things might open up slightly more for hospitality, leisure, and other sectors like that. You're probably talking July before those things can open. Childcare is another regular question that's come up. What if I can't get childcare? I've been told I need to go back to work, but I can't get childcare. The Prime Minister has said that childcare is a legitimate reason why you may not be able to go back to work. Obviously, the furlough scheme has been extended and can continue. If you cannot go to work because you cannot find childcare, then again, that's a legitimate reason to talk to your employer and say, look, I can't come back to work right now. That shouldn't last too long because from the 1st of June, nurseries will be reopening. Some children will be able to go back to school. Obviously, key workers, children can still attend school. But for some people, that will be a big challenge is finding childcare. We're not yet in a position where you are able to leave your kids with relatives. That may change from the 1st of June, but as yet, not quite yet. What about schools while we're on it? A lot of people have been saying, look, is it safe for my child to go back to school? Obviously, children and key workers have been back, have often been there throughout. The numbers at school will be much lower. And the reason that it's primary schools and younger children is because they are much lower risk than adults or even older children of both getting it, but also much lower risk of transferring it. A few people have said, oh, we'll go send our kids back when MPs go back. As it happens, MPs will go back in full on the same day, on the 1st of June. So, understandably there are risks. You won't be fined if you don't want to send your kids to school, but based on all the best scientific advice, and again, all of the advice that will be given to schools around hygiene and around making sure that it's safe, we are saying, A, go back to work, B, we will start to phase schools back in. It'll be reception year 1 and year 6 first, on the basis that they are kind of transition years where they're stepping up to something slightly different in September, and we want to be able to support them through that. Some of the questions have been around going outside. In particular, can I meet family? Yes, you can meet a member of your family from a different household. You can do that in an outdoor space. Should be socially distanced. Some things you still can't do, so you still shouldn't use kind of outdoor gym equipment. You still shouldn't let your kids play on the park. Obviously, meeting somebody from a distance is one thing, but touching surfaces that others may have touched is more of a risk. So that's the reason for that. As it stands, all these things are subject to the virus staying under control. If things start to spike again, then we'll have to row back on them. So it's really important that people do stick to the measures and make sure that we can continue to open things up come the 1st of June, when we might be looking at opening some retail, and as I say, schools and childcare will start to reopen. The final challenge has been around family, and I get the question, why can I go to work but I can't go to my mum's house? And I do understand and agree to some extent with why that might be contradictory, but the reason is that we have to limit the amount of interaction, the amount of social interaction and contact. And you can't reduce it altogether if people are going back to work, but you have to make choices about which things are necessary to protect people's livelihoods and to protect people's incomes, to get the country moving again, and which things are kind of a choice. You can see your mum. You can see your mum in an outdoor space. You can see her from a socially distanced manner. But we have to be able to regulate and to kind of enforce and to know that the measures are being followed. Otherwise, they're pointless. So saying, a cleaner can go into a home because they are employed, they are in a sector with strict regulations, they can be inspected, they can be fined if they don't follow the rules, they have a strict hygiene program that they'll have to follow in that home. And we can manage that, and we can make sure that works. If we just, and that again, that's a small number of people going into a small number of homes. If we just said anybody can have their family round, and we expect you to be socially distanced in the home, it would be a free-for-all, to be honest, wouldn't it? Everybody would be going to meet their family, everybody would be inside private homes. There'd be no way we could manage or assess whether those rules were being followed, and the temptation to break the rules would be very, very high. So there is a really clear difference as to why that's happened, although it may be frustrating. The best advice is to stick to the rules as they stand, and if the virus continues to the spread of the virus continues to fall, then we can open those measures up further, and come 1st of June, things may change. So please do stick for it for now. Frustrating though some of it may be, absolutely agree. But really important that we continue to control the virus, we continue to protect the NHS, make sure that everybody can get the access to healthcare that they need. And over the next couple of months, we'll continue to open up the economy, open up those opportunities for social interaction, leisure, hospitality, and everything else.